They say surviving a bullet is easy. It's surviving the aftermath that destroys you. I learned that truth in a warehouse soaked with blood, where the man I'd married as payment for a debt became the man I'd kill for. But when the lights came back on, I realized some prisons aren't made of walls. They're made of love, lies, and the terrible choice between freedom and a heart that no longer belongs to you. Welcome back, besties. This is part 2 of NECA and Min Jae's story. If you haven't watched part 1, pause this video right now and go watch it, because trust me, you need the full context for what's about to happen. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because this story is about to get intense. Pain exploded through NECA's shoulder, white hot and devastating. The darkness that swallowed the warehouse moments ago suddenly blazed with emergency lights, bathing everything in sickening red. She looked down to see blood blooming across her white blouse, spreading like a crimson flower. The gun slipped from her fingers, clattering against concrete. NECA! Min Jae's voice tore through the chaos. He was suddenly there, catching her before she hit the ground, his hands pressing against her shoulder. Stay with me. Look at me. Don't close your eyes. Through the haze of pain, NECA saw a body scattered across the warehouse floor. Chairman Beck lay motionless, a pool of blood spreading beneath his silver hair. 3 of his men were down. The others had scattered in confusion, their footsteps echoing as they fled into Seoul's night. "The police!" one of Min Jae's men shouted. "Someone called them. We have 2 minutes, maybe less." Min Jae lifted NECA into his arms as if she weighed nothing, his face a mask of controlled terror. "Get the cars. Now, clean this scene. I want it sanitized before the police arrive. Boss, you're hit too." "I don't care. Move." NECA had noticed before, too lost in her own pain, but Min Jae's shirt was soaked with blood on his left side. He'd been shot too. Yet he carried her like she was the only thing that mattered, his jaw clenched against what must have been excruciating pain. The Mercedes screeched to a halt outside the warehouse. Min Jae's driver, a man called Taehyun with kind eyes and scarred knuckles, to open the back door. Min Jae laid NECA across the back seat, then climbed in beside her, keeping pressure on her wound. "Hospital?" Taehyun asked as he pulled into traffic. "No, they report gunshot wounds. Take us to Dr. Yoon's clinic." NECA's vision swam in and out of focus. The city lights blurred into streams of color. Min Jae's face hovered above hers, his expression raw with fear. She'd never seen him scared before. Not when facing down rival gangs. Not when Chairman Beck held a gun to his head. But now, looking at her bleeding in his arms, terror etched itself into every line of his face. "I'm sorry," NECA whispered. Her voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. "I ruined everything. You saved everything." His thumb brushed her cheek, smearing blood across her skin. "You saved me. You're bleeding too." "I don't care. Stay awake, NECA. Talk to me. Tell me about Lagos. Tell me about your siblings." She tried to focus on his words, to fight the darkness pulling at the edges of her consciousness. "Amara, she loves to dance. Chitty Jr. wants to be a doctor. I was supposed to bring them here. Supposed to give them a better life. You will. I promise you will. But you have to stay with me." The car swerved sharply, throwing him against the seat. Through the rear window, NECA saw flashing blue lights. "Police." The sirens wailed like banshees, growing louder. "We got 3 cars on us," Taehyun announced, his voice steady despite the tension. "Hold on." What followed was a nightmare of screeching tires and sharp turns. Taehyun drove like a man possessed, weaving through Seoul's late-night traffic with terrifying precision. Min Jae braced himself against the door, keeping NECA pinned to the seat, so she wouldn't be thrown around. Every sharp turn sent fresh agony through her shoulder, but his body shielded her from the worst of it. 2 more minutes to the clinic, Taehyun said, but they're closing in. Min Jae's phone rang. He answered with one hand, the other still pressed against NECA's wound. "Talk." His expression darkened as he listened. "How many? And the evidence? Good. Do it." He hung up and looked at Taehyun through the rearview mirror. "The warehouse is clean. No bodies, no blood, no evidence we were ever there. Chairman Beck and his men have been relocated." "Relocated where?" NECA managed to ask. Min Jae's smile was cold, devoid of humor. The Han River is very deep this time of year. The casual way he spoke about disposing of bodies should have horrified her. 3 months ago, it would have. Now, all NECA felt was relief. Chairman Beck was dead. The threat was eliminated. They might actually survive this. The clinic materialized out of the darkness, a nondescript building wedged between convenience store and a nori bang. The police sirens had faded. Tae-hyun had lost him in the maze of Seoul's backstreets. Min-jae carried NECA inside, shouting for Dr. Yoon in rapid Korean. The doctor was a woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair and steady hands. She took one look at them and began barking orders at her assistant. Exam room 2. Get the surgical kit. And someone called Jin-woo. I need another pair of hands. They laid NECA on a cold metal table. The fluorescent lights were too bright, making her head pound. Dr. Yoon cut away her blood-soaked blouse, her expression professional despite the severity of the wound. Through and through, she announced. Missed the major arteries. You're lucky, girl. Another inch to the right and you'd be dead. What about him? NECA asked, trying to sit up. Pain exploded through her shoulder, forcing her back down. Min-jae stood against the wall, his face pale beneath the harsh lights. Blood dripped steadily from beneath his shirt, pooling at his feet. Sit down before you pass out. Dr. Yoon ordered him. Jin-woo will handle you. I've got the girl. No. Min-jae's voice was weak but firm. Her first. I can wait. You're bleeding out, you stubborn fool. Her. First. Dr. Yoon muttered something in Korean that sounded like a string of curses, but she turned her attention to NECA. The local anesthetic burned as she injected it around the wound. Then came the irrigation, the probing, the clinical assessment of damage. NECA forced herself to watch the ceiling tiles, counting them to distract from a violation of Dr. Yoon's instruments in her flesh. You're going to need to stay still, Dr. Yoon said as she prepared her sutures. This is going to hurt. It did. Even with the local anesthetic, every pull of thread felt like fire. NECA's hands clenched into fists, her nails digging crescents into her palms. She bit her lip until she tasted blood, refusing to scream. Across the room, Jin-woo, a young man who looked too gentle to be associated with the criminal underworld, worked on Min-jae. The bullet had lodged itself in Min-jae's side, just below his ribs. Unlike NECA's through-and-through wound, his required extraction. She watched as Jin-woo made the incision, watched Min-jae's jaw clench, watched him refuse to make a sound even as they dug metal from his flesh. Done. Dr. Yoon announced 30 minutes later. She wrapped NECA's shoulder in clean bandages, her movements efficient. No heavy lifting, no sudden movements. Change the dressing twice daily. Watch for signs of infection, fever, increased pain, red streaks from the wound. You understand? NECA nodded, but her eyes were on Min-jae. Jin-woo had finished extracting the bullet and was now suturing the wound closed. Min-jae's face had taken on a grayish pallor, his breathing shallow. He's lost a lot of blood. Jin-woo said quietly, he needs a transfusion. No hospitals, Min-jae insisted, his voice barely above a whisper. Then he needs rest and fluids. Dr. Yoon interjected, get him home. Keep him horizontal for at least 48 hours. And for God's sake, try not to get shot again this week. I'm too old for this. Tae-hyun helped Min-jae to the car, while Dr. Yoon steadied NECA. The older woman's expression softened as she looked at the young Nigerian woman. You love him. It wasn't a question, but NECA answered anyway. I do. Love and this life don't mix well, child. I've patched up too many broken hearts wrapped in bullet holes. Min-jae's father used to bring his wife here, back before they killed him. She never recovered, you know. The fear of losing him ate her alive until there was nothing left. I'm not her. Dr. Yoon smiled sadly. That's what they all say. Just remember, when you love a man like Min-jae, you're not just loving him. You're loving the violence, the danger, the constant possibility of death. Make sure that's a choice you can live with. The penthouse felt different when they finally stumbled through the door at 3 a.m. The glass walls that had once seemed so beautiful now felt like a fishbowl, exposing them to Seoul's countless eyes. Min-jae collapsed on the couch, his face drawn with exhaustion and pain. NECA wanted to go to him, but her own body screamed in protest with every movement. We need to talk, Min Jae said quietly. NECA eased herself into the armchair across from him, every muscle protesting. About what happened? About everything. He leaned his head back, staring at the ceiling. Chairman Beck is dead. That changes the entire power structure of the syndicate. There will be a vacuum, and others will try to fill it. We have maybe 48 hours before the other bosses start making moves. His eyes found hers, intense despite his obvious exhaustion. You're my wife. That makes you a target now. Everyone knows you were there tonight. They know you shot at the chairman. They know I chose you over the Empire. The weight of those words settled over NECA like a heavy blanket. She'd been so focused on surviving the moment that she hadn't thought about the consequences. What happens now? I take control of the syndicate. Fully. Not as underboss, but as chairman. It's the only way to protect you. To protect us. If I show any weakness, any hesitation, they'll come for both of us. And if you take control, what then? You become everything you hate. Min Jae's laugh was bitter. I'm already everything I hate, NECA. I've killed people. I've hurt people. I've built my life on blood and fear. The question isn't whether I'm a monster. I am. The question is whether I can be a monster who does some good in the world. NECA thought about the books in his office, about the drug trafficking he'd refused, about the lines he wouldn't cross. You're not a monster. Monsters don't read philosophy at 3 a.m. Monsters don't refuse to poison their own communities. You don't know what I've done. Then tell me. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken horrors. Finally, Min Jae spoke, his voice hollow. When I was 16, a rival gang kidnapped my younger sister. They wanted to use her as leverage against my father. By the time we found her, she was... He stopped, his jaw working. She was 14. They'd hurt her in ways no child should ever be hurt. My father got her back, but she was never the same. She killed herself 6 months later. NECA's heart shattered. Min Jae... I found the men who took her, all 7 of them. I was 17 and I killed them, not quickly, not mercifully. I made them suffer for days. I wanted them to feel a fraction of what they'd put her through. His eyes were haunted, lost in memory. That was the first time I understood what I was capable of. The darkness inside me. You were protecting your sister, avenging her. I was becoming a monster. And the worst part? I didn't regret it. I still don't. If I could go back, I'd do it again. I'd make them suffer longer. NECA stood, ignoring the pain screaming through her shoulder, and crossed the couch. She sat beside him, close enough that their legs touched. Having darkness inside you doesn't make you a monster. It makes you human. The difference is what you choose to do with it. Min Jae turned to look at her, and she saw tears tracking down his face. The first time she'd ever seen him cry. I don't deserve you. I bought you, trapped you, dragged you into this hell. You saved me. From whoever else would have taken me, yes. But also from a life where I'd never have understood what it means to really live, to really feel. She took his hand, intertwining their fingers. I love you, Min Jae. Not because I have to. Not because of some psychological condition. But because I've seen every part of you, the darkness and the light, and I choose you anyway. He pulled her against him, mindful of both her injuries, and buried his face in her hair. They sat like that for long minutes. 2 broken people holding each other together as dawn began to paint Seoul's sky with pink and gold. If I take control of the syndicate, Min Jae finally said, there's no going back. No normal life. You'll be the wife of a crime boss. Always in danger. Always looking over your shoulder. And if you don't take control, what happens to us then? We run. Leave Seoul, leave Korea. I have money hidden away. False identities prepared. We could disappear. Start over somewhere new. The offer hung in the air, tempting as forbidden fruit. A normal life. Safety. Freedom from this world of blood and bullets. NECA could go back to university. Could bring her siblings to wherever they landed. Could live without fear. But she looked at Min Jae's face and saw the truth. Running would destroy him. Not physically, but spiritually. He'd spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder, knowing he'd abandoned his father's legacy, knowing he'd let the syndicate fall into hands that might be even worse than Chairman Beck's. What did you want to do before all this? She asked. Before your father died, before you had to become the underboss, what were your dreams? Min Jae's expression softened with memory. I wanted to be a lawyer. Social justice. Specifically, I wanted to help people who had no voice, no power. My father used to laugh and say I was too soft for this world. He smiled sadly. Maybe he was right. He was wrong. You're not soft. You're strong enough to care, which is the hardest thing in a world that rewards cruelty. Neka squeezed his hand. So here's what we do. You take control of the syndicate, but you reshape it. Use it for the good you always wanted to do. That's not how criminal organizations work. Then change how they work. You have the power. Use it. Min Jae studied her for a long moment, something like hope flickering in his dark eyes. You really believe I can do that? I believe you're the only one who can. The ringing phone shattered the moment. Min Jae answered, his voice immediately shifting to the cold, authoritative tone of the underboss. He spoke rapid Korean, his expression darkening with each passing second. Understood. Gather everyone. I'll be there in 2 hours. He hung up and looked at Neka. The other bosses are calling an emergency meeting. They want to discuss succession now that Chairman Beck is gone. You need to rest. You were shot 6 hours ago. Rest is a luxury I can't afford. If I don't show up, they'll see it as weakness. They'll move against me. He stood, swaying slightly. I need to shower, change. Look like someone who's in control, not someone who nearly died last night. Neka watched him disappear into bedroom, fear coiling in her stomach. He was in no condition to face a room full of ambitious criminals, each one looking for an opportunity to seize power. But what choice did they have? She thought about calling Uncle Chitty, about screaming at him for his betrayal. But what would be the point? He'd sold her for money, used her as a pawn in someone else's game. Nothing she said would change that. Instead, she pulled out her phone and called her siblings. Amara answered, her young voice bright with excitement. Sister Neka, we miss you. I miss you too, baby girl. So much. When are we coming to Korea? Uncle Chitty said maybe soon. Neka's grip tightened on the phone. Uncle Chitty was still feeding them lies. Very soon, I promise. But I need you to do something for me. Can you be brave? I'm always brave, Amara declared. I know you are. Listen carefully. I'm going to send some people to bring you and Chitty Jr. to Korea. Tomorrow, they'll come to the house with a special code word. Jollof rice. Don't go with anyone who doesn't say that, okay? Jollof rice. Amara repeated seriously. Like you make for us. Exactly. Can you tell Chitty Jr.? And don't tell Uncle Chitty. This is our secret. After hanging up, Neka called Taehyun. I need a favor. A big one. 30 minutes later, arrangements were made. Taehyun would personally fly to Lagos, collect her siblings, and bring them back to Seoul on a private jet. They'd be here within 48 hours. Safe. Protected. Out of Uncle Chitty's reach. Min Jae emerged from a bedroom dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, his hair slicked back, looking every inch the powerful crime boss despite the pallor of his skin and the careful way he moved to protect his injured side. The transformation was startling. Gone was a vulnerable man who cried in her arms, replaced by someone cold and commanding. How do I look? He asked. Terrifying, Neka admitted, and incredibly hot. That earned her a genuine smile. I need you to stay here. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone except me or Taehyun. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. I'm your wife. I was there when Chairman Beck died. My absence will look like weakness, like I'm hiding, like you're hiding me. Neka stood, ignoring the pain. Besides, you need someone to watch your back. Someone you can trust completely. Min Jae looked like he wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. You'll stay behind me at all times. You don't speak unless spoken to. And if anything goes wrong, we fight our way out together. He crossed to her, cupping her face in his hands. I love you. I need you to know that. Whatever happens today, whatever comes next, I love you. I love you too. Now, let's go take over a criminal empire. The meeting took place in a luxury hotel's private conference room, the kind of space where legitimate businessmen negotiated billion-dollar deals. Except these men dealt in drugs, weapons, and human lives. 8 regional bosses sat around a mahogany table, each accompanied by their most trusted lieutenants. The air was thick with expensive cologne, cigarette smoke, and barely concealed hostility. Min Jae entered with Neck at his side, and every eye in the room fixed on them. She felt their gazes like physical weight, assessing, judging, looking for weakness. She kept her spine straight, her expression neutral, even as her shoulder throbbed beneath the bandages hidden under her elegant black dress. "Kong Min Jae," said Boss Kim, a heavy-set man in his 60s with cruel eyes. "How generous of you to join us. We heard you had a difficult evening." "Nothing I couldn't handle," Min Jae replied smoothly, taking the seat at the head of the table, Chairman Beck's former position. The audacity of the move rippled through the room. "As I'm sure you've all heard by now, Chairman Beck attempted to have me killed last night. He failed. Fatally. We heard the warehouse burned down," said Boss Park, a woman in her 50s known for her ruthlessness. "Very convenient. No evidence, no bodies, no investigation. Tragic accident," Min Jae said blandly. "Faulty wiring, I believe." Boss Lee, youngest of the group at 40, leaned forward. "And you expect us to simply accept that you've eliminated the chairman and now want to take his place? That's not how succession works in our organization. Then how does it work, Lee? The strongest takes control. Always has, always will, unless you'd like to challenge me for it." The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. Boss Lee's hand moved toward his jacket, toward the weapon undoubtedly holstered there, then stopped. He'd seen what Min Jae was capable of. They all had. "The girl," Boss Kim said, shifting tactics. "She's a problem. An outsider. African. She has no place in our world." Neka felt Min Jae tense beside her, but she spoke before he could. "I have every place in this world. I'm Min Jae's wife. That makes me part of this organization whether you like it or not." "Wife!" Boss Park scoffed. "A forced marriage to settle a debt. That's not a real union." "Is that what you think?" Neka met her gaze steadily. "I was there last night. I put a bullet in Chairman Beck, while you were all safe in your homes. I've bled for this organization. What have you done lately besides grow fat off its profits?" The silence was deafening. Min Jae's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. Whether in warning or support, she couldn't tell. Boss Kim's face turned purple with rage. "You dare!" "She dares because she's right," Min Jae cut in, his voice like ice. Chairman Beck tried to maintain control through fear and brutality. Look where it got him. I'm proposing something different. Different how? Boss Lee asked suspiciously. Min Jae stood, commanding the room's attention. We've been operating the same way for 40 years. Drugs, prostitution, protection rackets. We destroy our own communities to line our pockets. Meanwhile, legitimate businesses make 10 times what we do with half the risk. What are you suggesting? Boss Park's eyes narrowed. That we go legitimate? I'm suggesting we adapt. Real estate development, technology investments, import-export businesses. We launder our existing money through legitimate enterprises, then gradually shift our focus. In 10 years, we could be one of the most powerful corporate conglomerates in Korea. Legal, untouchable. That's insane, Boss Kim sputtered. We're criminals, not businessmen. We're whatever we choose to be, Min Jae countered. My father built this syndicate from nothing. He gave you all power, territory, wealth. And how did you repay him? You let Beck murder him. You stood by and did nothing. The accusation hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Several bosses shifted uncomfortably. Your father's death was unfortunate, Boss Park said carefully, but it was a result of internal politics. It was murder, orchestrated by Beck with your silent approval, because you were all too afraid to stand up to him. Min Jae's voice was hard, unforgiving. I won't make the same mistakes my father made. I won't trust blindly. From now on, we operate differently. Those who want to be part of this new direction are welcome. Those who don't. He let the thread hang unfinished. Boss Lee stood abruptly. And if we refuse, if we say no to your grand vision, then you're choosing to be my enemy. Min Jae's hand moved to his jacket. I've killed one chairman already this week. Go make me add to the count. The standoff lasted several heartbeats. Then Boss Park began to laugh, a sound like breaking glass. Your father would be proud, or horrified, possibly both. She stood and bowed slightly. I'm in. Your vision has merit, and I'm too old to die over stubbornness. You're making a mistake, Park, Boss Kim growled. The mistake would be dying for pride, she replied. Min Jae is offering us a chance to build something that lasts beyond our lifetimes. I'm smart enough to take it. One by one, the other bosses made their choices. Boss Lee sat down, nodding acceptance. Two others, younger men hungry for the power Min Jae promised, quickly aligned themselves. That left Boss Kim and two others who looked uncertain. Kim, Min Jae said quietly, we've known each other since I was a child. You taught me how to shoot, how to negotiate. I don't want you as an enemy. Your father and I built this syndicate together, Kim said, his voice heavy. We spilled blood together, buried bodies together. This organization is my life's work. And you want to tear it down, rebuild it into something I won't recognize. I want to make it something we can be proud of. There's no pride in what we do. Boy, there never was. Only power and survival. Kim stood slowly, his lieutenants flanking him. I'm too old to change. Too set in my ways. So I'll make this easy for everyone. I'm out. Retire me, pension me, whatever you want to call it. But I'm done. The announcement shocked everyone. Retirement wasn't a concept that existed in their world. You left in a body bag, or not at all. You're serious? Min Jae asked. I'm tired, Min Jae. Tired of the violence. Tired of watching good men die for nothing. Your father's death broke something in me. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's a better way. Kim moved toward the door, then stopped. But hear this. You fail, and this whole organization will tear itself apart. The stakes have never been higher. After Kim left, the remaining two holdouts quickly fell in line. Nobody wanted to be the lone voice of dissent. Min Jae had won. In less than an hour, he'd transformed from underboss to chairman, from subordinate to supreme leader. As the meeting dissolved, Boss Park approached NECA. You got steel in you, girl. That's good. You'll need it. Being married to the chairman means you'll have a target on your back forever. I figured that out when I took a bullet last night, NECA replied. Park smiled, expression that didn't reach her eyes. That was just the beginning. You survived the first test. There will be others. Many others. The question is whether you'll survive them all. The drive back to the penthouse was silent. NECA watched Seoul pass by the window, seeing the city with new eyes. Somewhere out there, her siblings were preparing to leave Lagos, to join her in this dangerous new world. Was she doing the right thing bringing them here? Or was she just dragging them into hell? You're thinking too loud, Min Jae said, his hand finding hers. I'm thinking about Amara and Chitty Jr., about whether I'm making a terrible mistake. We'll protect them. I promise you that. Nothing will happen to your family. Can you really promise that? In this life? Min Jae was quiet for a moment. No, I can't promise absolute safety. But I can promise that anyone who tries to hurt them will answer to me. And I can promise that we'll give them opportunities they'd never have in Lagos. Education, security, a chance at a real future. A future paid for with blood money. All money is blood money when you dig deep enough. At least we're honest about it. The penthouse felt like a sanctuary when they finally returned. NECA kicked off her heels, peeling away the armor of elegance she'd worn to the meeting. Her shoulders screamed in protest, and she realized she'd been clenching it unconsciously for hours. Min Jae shed his jacket, moving carefully as he poured them both whiskey. You were magnificent today. The way you shut down Boss Kim, I've never seen anyone speak to him like that and live to tell about it. I was terrified the entire time. That's what made it magnificent. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action despite it. He handed her a glass. To new beginnings. To surviving long enough to see them. NECA countered. They drank in silence, the alcohol burning away some of the day's tension. NECA's phone buzzed. A message from Taehyun. Packages secured. Departing in 2 hours. ETA sold tomorrow evening. Her siblings. They were really coming. Relief and terror war in her chest. They'll be safe here, Min Jae said, reading her expression. I'll assign security. Personal guards, vetted and loyal. They're children, Min Jae. They shouldn't need armed guards. In our world, everyone needs protection. The sooner they understand that, the safer they'll be. The reality of those words sank into Neka like stones. This was her life now. Bodyguards and bulletproof cars. Looking over her shoulder constantly. Teaching her 10-year-old brother and 8-year-old sister how to survive in a world where violence was currency. I need to lie down, she said quietly. My shoulder is killing me. Min Jae helped her to bedroom, his own movement stiff with pain. They both pushed themselves too hard, too soon. Dr. Yoon would have their heads if she knew they'd attended a high-stakes criminal meeting less than 12 hours after being shot. Neka lay on the bed, while Min Jae carefully changed her bandages. His hands were gentle, reverent almost, as he cleaned the wound and applied fresh gauze. The bullet hole was an angry red, the stitches stark black against her dark skin. Does it hurt? He asked. Everything hurts. But I'd do it again. All of it. Min Jae's fingers traced the edge of the bandage, barely touching her skin. You shouldn't have to. You should be at university, studying for exams, worrying about normal things. Not this. Normal is overrated. Normal is boring. Neka caught his hand, pressing it to her cheek. I chose this. I chose you. I'd choose you 1,000 times over. He leaned down and kissed her, soft and achingly tender. It was so different from their desperate kiss on the balcony, from the passion born of adrenaline and fear. This was promise. This was forever. It forever existed for people like them. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. I'm going to give you everything. Whatever you want, whatever you need, it's yours. I just want you, alive, safe. That's all I need. Then I'll do my best to stay that way. They fell asleep tangled together, both too exhausted to even change clothes. Neka's dreams were fragmented, violent. Flashes of the warehouse, of Chairman Beck's dead eyes, of blood pooling on concrete. She woke several times to find Min Jae awake too, staring at the ceiling with haunted eyes. Morning came too soon. Neka's phone exploded with messages. Her university asking about her absences, friends wondering where she'd disappeared to, and one message from Uncle Chitty that made her blood boil. Neka, please call me. We need to talk about what happened. I can explain everything. She deleted it without responding. There was nothing he could say that would justify his betrayal. He'd sold her for money, lied about the debt, and nearly gotten her killed. As far as she was concerned, Uncle Chitty was dead to her. Min Jae emerged from the shower, water still dripping from his hair. Despite the fresh bandages, despite the bruises blooming across his ribs, he looked powerful, alive. He caught her staring and smiled. Like what you see? Always. Neka stood, moving to him. Min Jae, about my uncle, already handled. He's been relocated. Fear spiked through her. What does that mean? Did you? He's alive. For now. But he's been removed from Seoul. He won't bother you or your siblings again. Min Jae's expression was hard. I wanted to kill him. For what he did to you. For what he almost caused. But I knew you wouldn't want that. So I showed mercy. Don't ask me to show it twice. Neka should have felt relief. Instead, she felt nothing. The uncle who'd welcomed her to Seoul, who'd given her a job in his shop, who'd video called her siblings with her, that man had been a fiction. The real Chitty was someone who'd sell his own niece for cash. Thank you, she said quietly, for not killing him. Not for his sake, but for mine. I don't want more blood on my conscience. Your conscience is cleaner than anyone's in our world. Keep it that way as long as possible. The day passed in strange domesticity. They made breakfast together, moved carefully around each other in the kitchen, pretended for a few hours that they were just a normal couple. Neka caught herself laughing at something Min Jae said about his terrible cooking skills, and the normalcy of it was jarring. How could she laugh when yesterday she'd killed a man, when her shoulder still ached from a bullet wound? But maybe that was survival, finding moments of light in overwhelming darkness. Evening arrived with a message from Taehyun. Landing in 30 minutes. Kids are excited but scared. The girl won't stop asking about jollof rice. Neka's heart soared and plummeted simultaneously. her siblings. After months of video calls and promises, they'd finally be here, but they'd also be stepping into a world more dangerous than anything they'd known in Lagos. She and Min Jae drove to the private airfield, a place where questions weren't asked and customs were flexible. The plane touched down just as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The door opened, stairs descended, and then they appeared. Amara came first, her hair in neat braids, wearing the pink dress Nneka had sent for her birthday. She was so much bigger than in the video calls, no longer a baby but a real little girl. When she saw Nneka, her face split into a smile that could power the sun. Sister Nneka. Nneka ran to them, pain forgotten, and swept both children into her arms. They smelled like home, like Lego sunshine and the soap their grandmother used. Tears streamed down her face as she held them, feeling their solid warmth, their realness. "You're really here," she whispered. "You're really here." Chitty Jr. pulled back to look at her seriously. "Taehyun, so we'll live in a big building that touches the sky. Is that true?" "Very true. You're going to love it." Amara noticed Min Jae standing a few feet away, watching the reunion with soft eyes. "Is that your husband? The one from the pictures?" "Yes, baby. That's Min Jae." Min Jae approached slowly, kneeling so he was at eye level with the children. "Hello, Amara." "Hello, Chitty. Your sister talks about you constantly. I'm very happy you're here." Amara studied him with the brutal honesty of children. "You're very handsome, but you look scary." Min Jae laughed, the sound genuine and warm. "I get that a lot. I promise I'm not scary. At least not to you. Will you protect my sister?" Chitty Jr. asked, his voice small but firm. "She's very important." "With my life," Min Jae promised. "She's the most important person in my world." That seemed to satisfy the boy. Amara, meanwhile, had noticed a penthouse visible in the distance. "Is that where we're living?" "It's so tall." The penthouse amazed them. Amara ran from window to window, pressing her nose against the glass to see the city lights. Chitty Jr. was more reserved, taking in everything with quiet observation. Nneka had prepared their rooms. 2 bedrooms connected by a shared bathroom, decorated with colors and things she hoped they'd love. "This is all ours." Amara breathed, staring at her room filled with toys and books. "All yours. And tomorrow we'll enroll you in international school. You'll make new friends, learn Korean." "Will Uncle Chitty visit?" the girl asked innocently. Nneka's smile froze. Min Jae stepped in smoothly. "Uncle Chitty had to move for work. But you have us now. And Taehyun, he'll be around a lot." After settling the children in bed, reading them stories until they fell asleep, Nneka and Min Jae retreated to the balcony where they first kissed. Seoul glittered below them, beautiful and treacherous. "They're wonderful," Min Jae said. "I can see why you fought so hard for them. They're my whole world. Or they were before." She trailed off, unsure how to finish. "Before me?" "Before this became more complicated." Nneka leaned against the railing. "I love them more than anything. But I love you too. How do I balance that? How do I keep them innocent while living in your world?" "We do it together. We give them the best education, the best security, the best life we can. And we teach them to be strong without being hard, to be kind without being naive." Min Jae's arm slid around her waist. They'll grow up knowing their sister is powerful, that she's loved. That's not nothing. And when they're old enough to understand what you are, what we are, then we tell them the truth, that we're not perfect, but we're trying to be better, that we're using the power we have to protect people, to change things. He turned her to face him. "Your siblings will be okay. Nneka will make sure of it." She wanted to believe him, standing there in his arms, looking at the city they now controlled together. She almost did. The weeks that followed were a strange adjustment. Amara and Chitty Jr. adapted to Seoul faster than Nneka expected. They enrolled in the international school, made friends, started learning Korean. Bodyguards shadowed them everywhere, invisible but present. The children thought it was normal, that everyone had men in dark suits watching them. Nneka returned to university, finishing her degree with bodyguards sitting in the back of her lectures. Her professors never commented, but her classmates whispered. She was a gangster's wife now. the African girl who'd somehow captured Korea's most dangerous criminal. Min Jae transformed the syndicate piece by piece. The drug operations were phased out. The protection rackets became legitimate security services. Money flowed into real estate, into tech startups, into the legitimate economy. It wasn't overnight, and it wasn't clean, but it was change. They had dinner together every night, the four of them around the table like a real family. Amara chatted about school, while Chitty Jr. showed them his drawings. Min Jae helped with homework in Korean, patient even when Amara got frustrated. Neka watched them together and felt her heart expand. But darkness always lingered at the edges. There were attempts, rival gangs testing Min Jae's resolve, former loyalists to Chairman Beck seeking revenge. Each threat was neutralized, each enemy dealt with. The bodies piled up in invisible places, the violence hidden from the children, but always present. 3 months after the warehouse, Neka graduated from Yonsei University. Min Jae threw her a party at the penthouse. Legitimate business owners mixing with reformed criminals. Everyone celebrating the chairman's wife earning her degree. Amara and Chitty Jr. wore their best clothes, beaming with pride. Boss Park approached Neka during the party, glass of champagne in hand. "You've done well, girl. Changed him. Changed all of us in a way. I didn't change him. He was always this person underneath. Maybe, but you gave him permission to be it." Park's expression grew serious. There are still those who want to see Min Jae fail, who think the old ways were better. Watch your back. Watch your family's backs. The warning proved prophetic. 2 weeks later, someone tried to kidnap Amara from school. The bodyguard stopped it, but the message was clear. Min Jae's enemies would target what he loved most. That night, after the children were asleep, Min Jae sat in his office cleaning his guns. Neka found him there, his face carved from stone. "This is my fault," he said without looking up. "I brought you into this world. I put Amara and Chitty in danger. No, we're in this together. We knew there would be risks. Not for them. They're children. They should be safe." Neka knelt beside him, taking the gun from his hands. "They are safe, because we protect them. Because we're building something better. You can't give up now, Min Jae. We've come too far." He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. "I love you. I love all of you. If anything happened, nothing will happen. We're survivors. All of us." And they were. Over the following year, the threats diminished as Min Jae's vision took shape. The syndicate transformed into something resembling a legitimate corporation, still dangerous but less overtly violent. Neka used her business degree to help manage their legal enterprises, discovering she had a talent for negotiation and strategy. Amara grew into a confident 11-year-old who spoke fluent Korean and dreamed of becoming a dancer. Chitty Jr., now 12, excelled in mathematics and had stopped asking about Uncle Chitty entirely. They were sole children now, Korean-Nigerian kids who navigated 2 worlds with the ease of the young. On their first wedding anniversary, Min Jae took Neka back to the hammock where they'd been married. It looked different in daylight, less funeral, more beautiful. Cherry blossoms bloomed just as they had that night, petals falling like snow. "1 year ago, I married you because I was selfish," Min Jae said, taking her hands. "I wanted you, so I took you. I told myself I was saving you, but really I was trapping you." "Min Jae, let me finish. I was wrong about so many things. But somehow, impossibly, you love me anyway. You saw past the monster to the man underneath. You made me want to be better." He pulled out a small box. "So I'm asking you now, freely with no debt or coercion. Neka Okonkwo, will you marry me? For real this time?" The ring was stunning. A Nigerian ruby surrounded by diamonds, representing both their worlds merged into one. Tears streamed down Neka's face. "We're already married, you idiot." "Technically. But that wasn't your choice. This is, so what do you say?" She kissed him, tasting salt and joy in the strange, beautiful life they'd built from blood and bullets. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." They remarried in the same hammock, but this time with her siblings as witnesses, with friends who become family, with hope instead of fear. This time when Min Jae kissed her, it wasn't a public display for a criminal organization. It was love pure and complicated and utterly real. As they drove home through Seoul's glittering streets, Amara and Chitty Jr. chattering excitedly in the back seat about the ceremony, Neka looked at Min Jae and saw their future. It wouldn't be easy. There would always be danger, always be shadows. But they would face it together. A family forged in fire, stronger for everything they'd survived. What are you thinking? Min Jae asked, his hand finding hers. That I came to Seoul looking for a better life for my siblings. I never expected to find this. Find you. Find us. Regret it? Neka looked back at Amara and Chitty Jr., then at the man beside her, the criminal who'd bought her, the man who'd saved her, the husband she'd chosen freely in the end. Not for a second. Seoul spread out before them, a city of light and shadow, danger and possibility. Somewhere in its streets were people who still wanted them dead, who resented Min Jae's reforms, who saw Neka as a weakness to exploit. But they also had allies, had power, had love worth fighting for. The penthouse welcomed them home, its floor-to-ceiling windows reflecting the family they'd become. Neka stood at those windows later that night, after the children were asleep, after Min Jae had joined her with 2 glasses of wine. To us, he said, raising his glass. To surviving, Neka countered. To choosing each other. To building something beautiful out of something broken. They drank as Seoul sparkled below them, a city that had witnessed their transformation from captor and captive to partners, from a forced marriage to real love. The journey had been violent, terrifying, and utterly impossible. But standing there in the home they'd made, with the family they built, with the future stretching before them full of promise and peril in equal measure, Neka knew one truth with absolute certainty. She would do it all again. Every terrifying moment, every impossible choice, every bullet and betrayal, because in the end, love wasn't about perfection. It was about finding someone worth surviving for, worth changing for, worth building a life with despite all the reasons you shouldn't. Min Jae's arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her close. What are you thinking about? Everything. How we started. Where we are now. Where we're going. And I'm thinking that they say you can't love your captor. That Stockholm Syndrome isn't real love. But they're wrong. Because what we have isn't syndrome or survival instinct. It's choice. Every single day, I choose you. That's real. That's love. Min Jae turned her to face him, his dark eyes full of emotion. Every day, I choose you too. I'll keep choosing you until my last breath. Then I guess we're stuck with each other. I wouldn't have it any other way. They kissed as Seoul hummed with life around them. 2 people who'd found each other in the darkest circumstances and somehow created light. The penthouse, once a prison, had become a home. The man who bought her had become the man she'd freely chosen. And the girl who'd been payment for a debt had become a woman who owned her own destiny. Their story wasn't conventional. It wasn't clean or easy or simple. But it was theirs. And in a city of millions, in a world of infinite possibilities, they found something rare and precious, a love worth every scar, every tear, every impossible moment that had brought them together. As the night deepened and Seoul's lights blazed like captured stars, Neka and Min Jae stood together at their window, looking not back at where they'd been, but forward to everything they would become. Together. If you made it to the end, besties, thank you for taking this journey with Neka and Min Jae. Their story shows that love can bloom in the strangest places, that redemption is possible even for those who've done terrible things, and that family is what you choose to build, not just what you're born into. Drop a comment, and let me know what you thought of this story. Hit that like button if it moved you, and subscribe to African Korean Story Hub for more emotional, intense stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Until next time, besties.